All right, third temple. Hi guys, everything new under the sun. We must start building third temple today, says temple experts. This is breakingisraelnews.com. The third temple news is interesting to bring to your attention and for me to read it because the Bible speaks of a time when the Antichrist will cease sacrifices in Israel in the end days. Now, what that means is that, well, the third temple must be rebuilt because they can't start sacrifices officially until there's a third temple. So the assumption, the inference is, the implication is that there will be a third temple. So how do we know we're getting close to the Antichrist and the abomination of desolation and that whole end time, 7-year tribulation period? Well, we know it by how close we're getting to building. The Jews are getting to building a third temple, and they're really pushing for it. There's nothing left. There's nothing left that they really need to start building the third temple right now. They have everything. They have the priestly garments. They have the blueprints. They have red heifer blood. Have sacrifices ready to go. Have the wood. They're growing their own, acacia wood and cedars and whatever that they need for sacrifices. They need nothing right now to rebuild the third temple. And this is very significant because as soon as they start doing this, this means the 7-year tribulation is started or is very close to starting. A recent video from the Temple Institute concluded unequivocally that the third temple will not simply descend from heaven. Begging the question, why don't Jews begin building today? The man in charge of organizing third temple construction thinks he knows what it will take to jumpstart the process. Last week, the Temple Institute released a second video in their Holy Temple Mythbuster series, Falling from Heaven. Rabbi Richmond, the Institute's chairman director, opened a video with the question, the Bet HaMikdash temple is supposed to come down from heaven, true or false? I guess there's a belief in Israel that it's supposed to come from heaven. And there will be a New Jerusalem, but the Bible doesn't speak of a temple coming from heaven. And let me make me a sanctuary that I may dwell among them, Exodus 25:8. Like any other commandment, it is incumbent upon the Jews to perform it themselves and not to wait for God to perform it for them. Richmond's conclusion is to challenge those who maintain the third temple will descend from heaven, but it is a strong vote of confidence for those who advocate the Jews move forward in this endeavor. A chairman of the temple movement, Yaakov Heyman, is organizing controversial efforts towards building the third temple. By profession, Heyman manages building projects. This is the practical way he perceives the third temple, a construction project accomplished in stages. He described conflict between the two opinions, the temple coming down from heaven versus man-initiated construction, as evolution versus revolution. I don't believe the temple will suddenly appear. Heyman believes that the first stage in that process is within reach. What we need now is for Jews to go up to the Temple Mount, Heyman urged. When that happens, when thousands of Jews start going up to the Mount every day, like what happens at the Kotel, the Western Wall, prayer will just naturally happen. No one can stop it. It is a natural evolution from where we are now to where we need to be to build the temple. Richmond and Heyman believe in man-initiated construction, but with God playing an integral part of the process. Richmond cited the prophet Zechariah, who stated God himself will remedy the destruction of the second temple by building the temple with fire. For I saith Hashem will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and I will be the glory in the midst of her. Zechariah 2:9. Richmond understands this to mean that God will be part of the process, but it in no way exempts man from taking proactive role. To illustrate the point, Rabbi Richmond gave a powerful example of man's action bringing about divine will. In 1967, Israel faced a vastly superior collection of enemy forces bent on destroying the Jewish state and defeated them. I think that was supernaturally won. That was an incredible miracle in 67 there. Just as the fire of destruction was man-made but divinely sanctioned, so too the fire of rebuilding could manifest in the very human but divinely sanctioned fire of artillery of the 1967 Six-Day War. Again, God, that wasn't man that won that, although Israel's soldiers were on the ground. God bless them, and God gave that victory to them. When applied to the third temple, Richmond sees it as other Torah commandment incumbent upon Jews. First, Israel must fulfill God's commandment and build it themselves. And only afterward, God brings about final spiritual touches on to the structure that they have created with their own hands. That's an interesting statement, created with their own hands. It speaks to me of an idol, and effectively, that's what the Jews are creating when they're building the third temple. They don't recognize Jesus Christ, who came 2,000 years ago and died on the cross for my sin and your sin. They don't recognize him as a Messiah. They missed him the first time. They will recognize him, but it's going to take some persecution, some pain and suffering. There is a political agenda not to build the temple, but there is no question about what the Torah commands us to do. So there's a political agenda right now, but if tensions are high enough, if war is on the cusp, maybe the UN will say, look, let's give temple space to the Jews, temple space to the Arabs, peace for everybody, everybody gets their own temple, and then we'll have peace and security if everybody has their own temple. That could be the way that it comes around. And so we don't know when this is going to happen, but the fact that they're really, really pushing this more and more, it's getting in the psyche of the Jewish people. More and more, the young people coming up are knowing this, hearing this, expecting this, and it's only going to be a couple of years before they get this thing built. Everything's ready to go. I think God is prophetically holding them back from building it because there's nothing left to do it except political will. I guess. I don't even know what Netanyahu thinks about it, to be honest. I mean, Netanyahu could probably say, as prime minister, let's go ahead and do it. He doesn't want to start a war with the Arabs, because if they rebuild a temple with no Arab input, then there will be a war, which I think they would probably win anyways. But that's the political side of things. They don't want to allow the third temple quite yet, because the Arab neighbors and the rest of the world aren't interested in that. But as a political solution, as a carrot for the two-state solution, to push Israel into saying, yes, we'll give up land for peace, even more land for peace, you can build the third temple. So that will be the carrot at the end of the stick to convince them to go that route. So we'll leave it there. Interesting news about the third temple. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next video.